Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user TA_Worksister1234324. Am I the a-hole for calling my coworker work sister after she called me work husband in front of everyone? I, 34 male, work in a small office and we have about 30 people working here. Mary, 35 female, is one of my coworkers. We have been working together for 6 years now. We have 6 people in our department and we have to frequently travel across the state as our work involves overseeing government projects. We always travel in a group of 2. Although my travel partner changes based on the project, Mary and I are generally put on similar projects and enjoy each other's company. My wife also likes Mary and overall we have a very healthy work relationship. On to the incident. Yesterday, we had a happy hour in our office and we were all drinking after work hours and chatting. It was a group of around 10 people that stayed back. Mary was blabbering about how we both have been traveling together so much in the last year. She was roasting me for my habits while traveling, like always forgetting stuff in my hotel room, being sweaty and stinky when I join her for breakfast in the mornings because I go to the hotel gym. Everyone was laughing and she was making it sound how unbearable I was to tag along, all in good fun. I also told some funny and sweet stories about her and agreed with her, saying that I can be difficult to be with sometimes. Mary came to me and hugged me tightly and told me that she loves me and I am her work husband. It was all innocent on surface, but she might have been a bit drunk and just didn't let go of her tight hug. Also, I hate that phrase as I do have a wife that I promised to be with forever and not just in non-working hours. After a few seconds, I started becoming uncomfortable and also saw a few people staring at us. So, to defuse the situation, I took her hands off my shoulder and told her she was my work sister and that is why I love to annoy her so much. That seemed to have upset Mary and she left and went back to her desk and was sobbing silently. I tried to apologize to her, but she told me how embarrassing the whole situation was. She said that she just meant work husband in a platonic way, but me calling her work sister made her sound like a creep in front of the whole office. She was also angry that I aggressively removed her hands from my shoulders while hugging. I tried to reason with her that I do not like the work husband phrase and also people gave dirty looks when she said it. So I was just trying to make sure people do not take her words in the wrong way. We talked for a few minutes afterwards and Mary calmed down. She hugged me again and left. I felt really guilty afterwards because I can see Mary's point. I made her sound like a creep by implying that she meant something inappropriate when she called me her work husband. However, I was a bit uncomfortable in that situation and just did not want people to call us that or assuming something wrong. So, am I the a-hole for calling Mary my work sister? I am sitting in my office writing this and a bit worried if I embarrassed Mary in front of everyone. Well, OP, no, of course, you are not the a-hole. First of all, I agree with you. I also hate that word or phrase, work husband. What the F does that mean? No. Mary's the one that put you in an uncomfortable situation and you tried your best to diffuse it to avoid any kind of stupid office gossip and also to just, go back to having fun without making it more awkward. Do you think it would have played out the same if it would have been you making fun of her for her habits while traveling and then just going over there to hug her and call her your work wife? I highly doubt that. OP, I don't think you should have apologized because you did nothing wrong. You should have actually told Mary the truth. Mary, you made me very uncomfortable. I am not okay with this. And you also might want to consider going to HR just in case anybody decides to make you the water cooler conversation. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's go check out the community comments. Hella Classy says, not the a-hole, she was being inappropriate. You two spend long hours together with frequent travel and hotel stays. Then you trade cutesy stories over drinks and she gets handsy. If I was one of your coworkers or your wife, I'd have been side-eyeing you two before you shut it down. Best case scenario, it really was innocent. She was drunk and chose her words poorly. A less optimistic version is that she is working her way up to flirting with you and trying to start something. In that version, she's trying to guilt you so you drop your guard and don't stop her from being inappropriate in the future so she can keep testing the waters. If she can get away with flirting with you and holding you tight in front of coworkers, she'll wonder how far she can take it next time you're alone 2 states over in a hotel bar. Either way, you drew a line and you should stick with it. Don't let her embarrassment make you feel like you should question or relax your boundaries. You set them for good reason and you should prioritize respecting your marriage over your coworkers' feelings. Hummus says, not the a-hole, though you are being far too generous. The reason why she jumped straight to thinking you were calling her a creep is because she knows what she was doing was inappropriate. Work husband is considered widely inappropriate now. She knows this. You responded correctly. You owe your actual wife loyalty. Mary needs to back off and act more of a professional. And Bamf1701 says, not the a-hole. I think you were justified that whole time. Unfortunately, alcohol can make things awkward for everyone, but you were made uncomfortable by the extended hug, so you removing her arms from you was understandable. The problem right now is that Mary is only considering her own feelings and not thinking at all how her actions made you feel. She didn't think that such a public display of affection might make a married man uncomfortable. She is only thinking that you made her look like a creep. And let's be honest, she did kind of look like someone hitting on a married man after drinking too much. Alright, well, the vast majority of the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and that he did the right thing and that maybe Mary has some ulterior motives. Now, unfortunately, OP did not respond to any comments except for one that spoke about a typo or give us an edit, which means we move on straight to the update to see how this story ends. I posted last week about calling my coworker Mary my work sister after she tried to call me her work husband in front of the entire office. A lot of you are asking for an update, so here it is. Thanks everyone for your comments and giving me confidence that I did not do anything wrong or inappropriate. As I was sitting in my office the next day, I knew things would be a bit awkward between Mary and me. Mary ignored me the whole morning. Initially, I was planning to go and apologize to her, but after the post, I decided that I do not need to do that as I should be the one who was offended. Everyone in the office could see that we were acting weird, and I heard some people gossiping about us. One of the ladies also came to me and asked me if I want to talk about Mary and me. Around 3 p.m. in the afternoon, I was sitting in my office working. Mary came into my office and closed the door behind her. She was angry at me and started saying that I need to stop being an a-hole and stop ignoring her. I told her to sit and to talk about what is going on. She told me that she feels humiliated and everyone has been staring at her the whole morning because of what I did. I also stood my ground and told her that I was okay with her making fun of me, but calling me her work husband and hugging me in front of everyone for a long time made the situation awkward. She told me to get over myself and that I should know exactly what she meant. Mary said that I made a big deal of what was supposed to be a joke and made it awkward for everyone. She said calling someone work husband is a normal thing and just means that she knows me intimately like a spouse would. She said that because we spent so much time traveling together, she knows all the intimate details of how I behave outside work. I stopped her and told her that I felt offended by the term work husband because I have a wife and I do not want people to use that term to describe our relationship. I told her that she would not understand that she is single, but as a married man, I really do not want anyone to describe me as a husband in any capacity. She said that I am again misinterpreting what she was saying. She felt that as we have known each other more time than I have been married, she knows me more intimately than even my wife. I have no idea why she feels that way. And I also behave like her husband when we travel together. She went on about how we go out to dinners together after work, how I always insist on having breakfast together in the morning to plan our actions of the day, and I walk around in my underwear, referring to my gym shorts around her in the mornings. She also talked about how we spend hours talking to each other during road trips and how I am the only man she can trust with any secret in her life. She said that I am the definition of work husband and I am just in denial. I was a bit angry at this point. I told her that I do all that because I consider her my friend and she is delusional if she feels she knows me more intimately than my wife. I told her I do not want to hear that term again and it is extremely disrespectful to my marriage. Only one woman gets to call me her husband and that is my wife. Moreover, if my actions are giving her such ideas, maybe we need to stop being friends. She became apologetic afterwards and told me that she did not mean to disrespect my wife and it was not her intention. She apologized to me and told me to just let it go. She said that she loves traveling with me and she does not want anything to change between us. She again said that I am misinterpreting her statement and just wants to move on. She came to hug me again, but I just told her it was okay and stepped back. I also talked to my wife about the incident that night. As expected, my wife was angry at Mary and told me that she hates the term work husband. She asked me if Mary has ever flirted with me during our trips or has a crush on me. I truthfully told her that I really have not felt that way and she may have just said that because she was a bit drunk and is now being stubborn about it. My wife said that she feels a bit uncomfortable about Mary now and says that it's strike one for Mary and I need to try and put more distance between us while traveling. Unfortunately, it's not an option to stop traveling with her. We are a very small team and have to travel together as we monitor projects across the entire state. So going on site with coworkers is necessary. Of course, we don't share rooms. However, I always go to the gym every morning and then we meet for breakfast afterwards, as I like to plan our day before we go to the work site. Mary makes fun of my gym shorts and thinks that they are small and tight. In my defense, I have never skipped a leg day, so every workout shorts looks ridiculous and tight. My wife said that as a female, she cannot imagine a coworker commenting on her workout leggings as too tight. As a guy, I have more tolerance for women talking about my body or clothes. She feels I should start feeling more offended when Mary says such things because she was out of line commenting on my legs. Side note, I left some details from the post, but some comments Mary made about my shorts were definitely not safe for work. I just don't react to her as I do not want to give her more ammo. However, she made similar comments that night about my shorts in front of everyone, which also made the situation 100 times worse. I am debating with myself if I should go to HR now, as I just want to move on. I agree with my wife to make sure this never happens again, as I would be left with no choice then. However, I am willing to mark this as a drunken, harmless mistake and move on. But if Mary ever repeats the same behavior, I should report her to HR. I also promised my wife that I would try to reduce my interactions with Mary outside work hours and be more guarded around her. Wow, man, OP, Mary was relentless in trying to make you believe that calling you a work husband was an okay thing. It's not. And then she went for another hug, which, by the way, good for you for shutting it down. And also, it's good to know that you brought your wife into the loop and that you guys have an agreement on how you should move forward. The part that I really didn't like is the fact that she just went into your office and closed the door behind her. And because of this, I don't think you need to wait for the next time she does something awkward. I think you should go to HR and make them aware of the situation. Anyways, OP, here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user ThrowArrayFlatIssues. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help rekindle my girlfriend's friendship with our neighbor after she refused to help her in an emergency? My 25 female girlfriend, 26 female Lotta, has always been on the more quiet and reserved side, but also incredibly kind and conscientious of other people. She also doesn't let others walk over her and knows how to set and stick to boundaries, which is one of the reasons I was attracted to her. But a few weeks ago, I think she was too ruthless. A few weeks ago, our upstairs neighbor, who Lotta and I are close with, showed up at our door sobbing and begging Lotta to babysit her 5-year-old for an hour because her 1-month-old was having trouble breathing and has stopped breathing at one point and needed to go to the hospital as soon as possible. The neighbor explained her mother was on the way as they speak, but she has no one else to take care of her other son. She also offered to pay Lotta. I was at work at the time. Lotta said no. She said she was busy and couldn't do it. The neighbor ended up taking both kids to the hospital. I found out about this incident when I got home from work and Lotta told me. I was genuinely surprised to hear she said no, which seemed to annoy Lotta. It's been 3 weeks since that event, and our neighbor has been quite cold to Lotta, and this really bothers her. She says she was just setting boundaries and that our neighbor was entitled and snobby for being upset that Lotta said no. I explained I felt differently, and I'm more on our neighbor's side as 1. She has never asked us for any favors in the 3 years we've known her, and 2. This was a medical emergency, not her wanting to go clubbing with her friends. I told Lotta that she didn't teach our neighbor a lesson, she only added stress she didn't need. This really upset Lotta because she thought I would be on her side. She then asked me to talk to our neighbor to try and rekindle their friendship. I said I can't do that for her, she needs to apologize herself and put in the work. Lotta stormed off and now keeps saying I'm being a huge a-hole for not siding with her and helping her with our neighbor who is her friend. Wow, I'm sorry, I don't like Lotta. Like you said, OP, it wasn't like your neighbor wanted to go clubbing or partying and she just wanted to get rid of her kid. Her baby was having a medical emergency, one that would freak any parent out. And her mother was on the way. Lotta wouldn't have had to take care of that kid for too long either. And also, I'm sorry, but I don't see this as setting a boundary. So no, OP, I don't think you're the a-hole, and I really don't think the neighbor's gonna get over this. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments. Linzard Snort 6 says, not the a-hole, it was a medical emergency. This is so horrible to do to someone. Because Lotta was busy, that poor 5-year-old was exposed to further trauma by having to go to the hospital and potentially witness their baby sibling being poked and prodded and probably have tubes shoved down their throat. I really hope Lotta doesn't want children of her own, or maybe I do, because then she will realize what a total a-hole she was to this poor woman. B. Jackson says, not the a-hole. Good for you for recognizing that it wasn't your job to mend the fences that Lotta broke. She might be good and kind in most instances, but in this case, she doesn't know how to admit that she was wrong and apologize to the right person. Sounds like she's mad at everyone but herself. I'm also on the neighbor's side. This was a small test of friendship for Lotta and she failed it. She didn't want to be inconvenienced, which is fine. But now your neighbor doesn't want to be inconvenienced by befriending Lotta. And Not Creative at All 16 says, wow, your girlfriend is cold. Sure, she didn't have to sit for your neighbor, but your neighbor has now seen that she is a cruel person who cares more about boundaries than helping out a friend in an emergency. Her friendship is gone. She cared more about whatever she was doing at the time than helping out a mother whose child stopped breathing. She was even going to pay her. Honestly, I wouldn't lift a finger to help her repair her situation. She can be cruel to people, but then she has to live with the outcome. Alright, so the community's telling OP that she's not the a-hole and most of them are calling Lotta out. So now, let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. So first things first, a lot of people were asking why I was with Lotta, and it's because her behavior during this incident was totally out of character. I was genuinely surprised to hear Lotta's actions to the situation, which is why I wrote in. We've known each other for 8 years, and I guess I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. So many comments were asking if she had any redeeming qualities, which yes, she does, and that's what made this whole thing so confusing to me. She is usually a very bubbly, kind person who remembers the small details and is just a nice person. I don't know why she had this shift. That being said, I did take into account some comments suggesting this was the real Lotta. Even if I took it with a grain of salt, it helped me to think through our interactions. We had a discussion about it and I laid out all my points and concerns, how this didn't seem like her, how callous she was, and how I don't know how to move past it if she's acting how she is about the situation. She pushed back and once again said it was just boundaries and she really didn't feel like babysitting at the moment. I said that I'm sure our neighbor didn't want her baby to stop breathing either. The conversation got kind of heated because Lotta genuinely wouldn't even own up to being kind of careless and rude, even though I think kind of is a huge understatement. She just kept saying that our neighbor's mom was on the way anyway, so what's the problem? At this point, I was at a loss. There was no convincing her that what she did was awful and she wasn't going to see it. I told her I needed time to think, but I already knew my stance. I told her I wanted to break up. Her response was, "Seriously? Over me setting boundaries? Our neighbor is going to walk all over you now. I know you've been bringing her food. She's not a stray. She can cook her own meals." She left half an hour later and is scheduled to come pick up the rest of her stuff later. I genuinely wanted to believe this was a huge F-up and a misstep on Lotta's part and not her character shining through, but it's clear that her standing her ground and not owning up to being callous and awful doesn't align with me. Thanks to everyone who commented. Wow, way to double down on being a crappy person, Lotta. OP, I'm really sorry that you had to spend so much time with a person who was actually hiding who she really was the whole time, because that whole act about being kind, yeah, when push came to shove, that was it for her. But the silver lining is that you're not with that crappy person anymore. So OP, on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.